Yes, it's Elizabeth Ann once again, making another stupid ass video. There the truth it is. And of course the reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to finally get up my lazy ass and make a Stan Lee tribute. I should probably not be cursing so much. I'm actually going to contribute to the man. Let's see. When did I first learn about, well, got into Stan Lee's work? It probably would be when I first recognized it was in his work. You see, I was reading comics forever, but like it was Giant Size X-Men #1. That was my first comics. That obviously had nothing to do. Well, I mean, he did the Presents thing, but that was written by Glenn Wein. But I remember first was those Origins of Marvel Comics and Sons of the Origins that I got as a child. And those I remember, mostly from Stan, was the writing he'd do in the back part. He'd do the whole, this is where we came from, these are who these people are, yada yada yada. This is how this thing came to mind. It was always these really interesting tales. He would always do it like he knew the people. It wasn't in any type of business thing, which it very much could have been. And I'm sure DC, well, no, DC treated us like children at that point, small children. How did I miss? Oh well, it was what it was. I don't have time to do makeup. That's why you're getting this scene. Oh, hang on, 1 second. And of course, even though I later outgrew this particular hero, even though sometimes I will dress for Halloween or something. Yeah, well, I haven't fully came into the one yet, so shush. So Elizabeth Ann yet. Elizabeth Ann, because I found out there was another Elizabeth out there. I took the name. But anyway, like most, yes, I had the big Spider-Man thing. Big fan, good old webhead. And yes, I had read a bunch of comics of those, including the Ditko run and the run also that Stan Lee had with John Romita Sr. To the point where that is the version that I always see of Spider-Man. Like I like Ditko, don't get me wrong. He was fine for what he was. He was a very good artist. I just always preferred the Spider-Man Romita run. That's just who I am. Anyway. And I would pick up different things like the FF and whatnot. I went back and got reprints of the original stuff later. I'm sure everybody else did. But there was something imaginative, interesting about the way he wrote. Gave us the desire to, learn new words. Like we get Excelsior, of course. True believers and, like just huge names like the Abomination. Not something when you're a small child you would encounter anywhere else or care enough to get into. But you just have a bunch of big words as a child. It's just big words and you get bored. But Stan Lee made him interesting with his work. And then the cartoons would start to show up like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. I had already been into Spider-Man and whatnot. Read the X-Men, so I knew who Iceman was. I had no idea who Firestar was, but it turns out she didn't exist until this cartoon. So that made sense anyway. So you learned. You would always hear his voice every episode. Would come in, he would give this interesting opener, get you ready for the show. For who the character was and for what they were going to be about and what was going on. We also get that in the Incredible Hulk cartoon. I wasn't as into the Hulk except for the TV show, which sadly had little to do with the video. I don't think Stan ever made an appearance except for the, which came out years later, was the Trial of the Incredible Hulk. They had tried to have Daredevil on there, it was good, it just wasn't as successful. Interesting, that same costume is pretty much what the new Daredevil wears in the TV show. The Netflix stuff. And yeah, I would go back and read some of the stuff with the X-Men with Jack Kirby and King. I didn't really get into the X-Men. Well, no, I did, because that was, again, my first comic book. Giant Size X-Men #1 with Len Wein, replaced later by Claremont. Huh, Claremont is the third person. Right, freaking Wolverine. I think it was Stan's brother wrote him first. That Hulk story, I think. Was it Lynn? I don't remember. Anyway. And then from there, you of course get the Len Wein version. He actually becomes the character he is, and that's where I became a fan of Cyclops from that issue. And oh, that's what I just did. Okay. Yeah, but that really has nothing to do with Stan. Like, Stan had a great idea to make freaking what's his name? The actual Goblin, Harry Osborn, so it gave more pathos and whatnot. And that probably wasn't why Ditko left. I forget Ditko had a reason other than that. Because Ditko didn't talk about it much, that was the reason he was given. It was a way more interesting story. And he even made the joke when they showed who Electro was by just some guy. They didn't care, because yeah, that's what it would be basically. Not dissing Ditko, of course, because Ditko was brilliant doing what he did. But let's not take away from the man, the myth, who is Stan Lee. Yes, both Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko and others had a lot of contributing parts. They did a lot to make sure this happened. But Stan was also an important part. And a lot of the stuff, for taking away the credit and the money, that was Goodman. Hate to break it to you, Stan did not have that type of power. Remember, he didn't become rich till years later. He was giving away the controlling thing of Marvel to the next guy, who he wanted it to be Roy Thomas, but Roy Thomas was like, you know. So it eventually became Jim Shooter and whatnot, etc., etc. But it was still Stan Lee Presents, so you always had Stan. You had the soapboxes. You had him come out and tell you different things, what they were doing, why you would care. I mean, he knew it was just an audience, but you know, he treated it like you were there, you were talking to somebody. It wasn't just kind of a report. It was. And we're not, as an adult, I get it. He wasn't really talking to you, but he made you feel like he was. Like, you were part of the whole Marvel family, the whole Marvel Marching Society and stuff. Not that I'm old enough to know Marvel Marching Society. I'm old, but not that damn old. Him and Jack made freaking Ben Grimm work. I mean, the original big hit was the Human Torch, but eventually became, that. And JJ was basically everybody in the office's little joke on who they thought of. Stan just said, fuck it, went with it. It worked.